last I knew you read 12 newspapers a day. What's going to go on in California on a very micro level?
California, the question is what's going to go on in California. There has been a time in the past when states have actually filed for bankruptcy. I think there's a fair chance that California will be very close to default. I can't imagine the government allowing California to go under. I think the Bernanke Fed and so will do what they always do, and that is come in and save California with money. I don't think they'll let California go under. Yes, sir.
You say you believe that there's going to be an impending bear market. When do you believe this bear market will commence? What will its duration be? And what percentage declines on the S&P Dow do you anticipate?
Okay, that's a good question. The bull market that started in 1980 lasted about 27 years to October 2007. Usually bear markets last a third to a half as long as a preceding bull market. I think the bear market, which started in 2007, will last at least 7 years. I mean, figure that out. But this bear market's going to be long and extended, and we haven't seen the tough part of it yet. The tough part's coming up, and that will happen as the dollar people realize the dollar is a bad investment and really starts collapsing. I've wondered why there has been more talk about the terrible action of the dollar over the last month. You read almost nothing about it in the newspapers. I don't know how many of you read the Financial Times. If you really want to know what's going on, you have to read the Financial Times, which I think is considerably better than the Wall Street Journal. By the way, with gold going to new all-time highs, it's amazing how little we read about it. The Wall Street Journal last week finally headlined it, but there's a real grudging feeling towards gold going to new highs. And, of course, if the dollar totally collapses, you might say that gold could go to infinity. Nobody knows where it's going to go. I think we're going to see a panic out of dollars coming up, and that will equate with gold blowing off on the upside.
Richard, I've been reading you for 2 decades now,
yeah.
And I get the feeling that the amount that you say people should be invested in gold is somewhat tailored with your sense of not wanting to recommend more than most people would think would be prudent. What is your real feeling as how much of a percentage of your assets should be put into gold and silver?
Yeah, the question is how much gold. The question, do you want to be a gold bug or do you want to be a dollar bug? My own feeling is I'd feel much better holding everything I have in gold, plus real estate, plus my 3 dogs. I prefer holding it all in gold, and I argue with my wife about that all the time. That's why I call her a dollar bug. Holding dollars means holding a depreciating asset, and I feel safer with gold. The good part about gold is it can't go bankrupt. It can't be it's nobody else's legitimate claim against it, and it's very hard to manipulate because it's international. I know the Fed would love to manipulate gold, but they can't control it because it's traded all over the world every hour of the day and night. So if I had to make a decision between all my money in gold or all my money in, say, 50% gold and 50% dollars, I'd pick gold.
Richard, I've got a question. When you used to speak at the New Orleans conference, I remember back in the day when I ran the New Orleans conference, you were, everybody at a certain point in 1978, 1979, of course, everybody was very, very bullish on gold, and a lot of analysts were saying that gold's going to go to $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000, and then everybody woke up in 1980, and of course it was the end of the show. Do you see anything? What do you see that could actually change your view about? I don't know. Is it the dollar? Is it gold? I mean, what could we miss in terms of a turn in the road here that
well, actually,
gold go down?
Back in the late 70s, in 1980, gold was going up basically on the idea of inflation. I think right now gold is going up as it opposes the dollar. There's a big difference. When Volcker killed inflation, gold collapsed after 1980. But now it's a different story. The background of the rise in gold now, I think, is the decline in the dollar. I don't think it has anything to do with inflation. And you can see it any time the dollar has a little rally, gold will back off or go sideways. Anytime the dollar gets whacked, you'll see it go up to $8 to $10. So there's a big difference between what's happening now and what happened in the late 70s. And as I say, to me, the big picture is that finally this bull market's going to go speculative. It's going to blow its top. That'll correspond with a panic out of dollars, which I see coming up.
If you did have to choose another currency against the US dollar, I understand you don't like any fiat currencies, but if there was one currency, what would be your favorite?
Well, the direct competitor with the US dollar now, of course, is the euro. And what we're really seeing now is a seesaw between the dollar and the euro has been strengthening recently. I think ultimately the currency is going to be the Chinese renminbi. And China's policy now, China is now the world's biggest producer of gold, and China has a very small reserve. China's reserves of gold against their position is about 1.5%. And the figure I read is that if China is going to push their gold reserves to the average of most of the other countries, which is 10%, they'd have to buy 7,000 tons of gold, which would be 3 years of production of gold throughout the world. So I think the coming currency is going to be the renminbi, and I think China will, in our lifetime, we'll see China's renminbi convertible into gold. I think they mean to make it a reserve currency. And of course, the U.S. What bothers the U.S. about it now, we're beginning to see the beginning of a tariff war. China just put tariffs on chicken. What bothers the Pentagon right now is the fact that China is a big move to boost the military. They're pushing their naval and aircraft capabilities. They have the largest standing army in the world. So I think China is really telling the U.S., don't push us too far because we're a military power now. If you all want to see a really interesting picture on the internet, look up Chinese military parade. It's quite a picture, and there's no question in my mind that China is becoming very defensive, and it bothers the Pentagon.